Adrianne Lynch with the Lynch team at Real Broker, and today I have Heather Parker with me from the Parker Law Office. Which document is it? When my kids turned 18, I had them sign that if they ended up in a hospital, like I could make those decisions for them. And I think people forget that, we should be having that for our parents too. That if they end up in a hospital, I don't want the hospital to make that decision. I mean, do I want their advice? Yes. But ultimately, that's my family and I want to make the decision. So what documents should families be thinking of when their kids are turning 18? I feel like a lot of parents don't realize that they no longer have control, or what. So what are those things
Yeah,
we should be thinking
absolutely.
about?
Well, and I think you bring up a good point. We're kind of in that sandwich generation, right? Where we've
Yeah.
got kids who are either in young adulthood or approaching young adulthood, and then we have parents who we may end up needing to lend assistance to. And so we're looking at it when we're considering planning, that planning is only a little bit for the person doing the planning, and it's a lot for the people that we're either asking to help us or who will ultimately benefit from what we have. And so considering it from both of those lanes is really important to do. So from the young adult standpoint, really most kids, young adults, really just need some medical directives. Most of them don't have enough assets to worry about, talking about wills and trusts and things like that. That's not typical. I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but
Right.
I would say that's most young adults. There's 3 pieces of medical directives. There's a HIPAA release that talks about who are they authorizing to have access to medical information. Now, this is true for anybody, but especially once you turn 18, because the HIPAA laws apply as soon as you turn 18, which essentially means doctors and hospitals are not allowed to share your personal medical information with anybody. And I think as parents, we think, well, gosh, if they're still living in my house and they're on my insurance, I should be entitled to some information here. And the law says, sorry, not really. So that's an important piece. And then a medical power of attorney, which is the part that allows the person to identify who they would like to make medical decisions for them in the event they can't make them for themselves. And so typically I'm suggesting a hierarchy. We've all got that one person that we think they would try to push in and do things that wouldn't be what I would want. So maybe we don't put that person on the list. We think about who would make the decisions we would want made and would make intelligent choices and would really consider what's best for us. And so that's really important to do. And as young adults, typically they're going to want their parents involved, or maybe they don't, and they need to make it clear that it's not their parents, depending on what that relationship looks like. And then that final piece is something called a living will. And a living will is really where we get to express how we would want our end of life to be handled. So at a time we would not be able to express it for ourselves. So a living will typically approaches things by saying, if I'm ever in a situation where I have a terminal condition, I'm never going to recover, and I can't communicate anymore, I don't want heroic measures taken to extend my life. I don't want to be kept alive indefinitely on machinery and things like that. It gives us that opportunity to make clear what we would want done. And I think that piece is really important because it sort of takes that decision out of the hands of our medical decision makers, right? Because nobody wants to be the one to have to make that pull the plug call.
Right.
Even if you know for certain that's what that person would want, that's a very difficult decision to have to make.
Right.
And so making those wishes clear makes it easier for the people you're asking to do things for you, because they can live with less guilt knowing that they did what you wanted them to.
I agree. And those are conversations we should be having, even though our kids are young. Those are conversations when I sat down with my kids and I was like, if this happens, what do you want? Do you want that? And they're like, I don't want to talk about dying. And I'm like, well, this is a conversation like I need to know, because I know as a mom what I'm going to do, but I need to know what you're wanting, in your life now. And then in a few more years, we'll readdress it again.
Absolutely.
So I think those things are important. So we will have Heather's information below. So any questions you have, make sure that you reach out. Thanks.